All right, guys. So as I'm making Coach the host here, uh, just kind of a real quick recap of what we're trying to do on these summits is show some of the things that we've done uh, the past year. So yesterday I kind of showed what we did last year and what we're going this year. And so then I've asked Coach Coffee to come on and talk about some of the things that they're doing with the system because everybody takes the gun T system and then they kind of make it their own. We like this and we like this, and then here's our wrinkle of it. And I think it's good to kind of show we encourage that. We encourage coaches to take what we do that will help them and use it, and then take what they know that might marry together. Talked a lot about that yesterday. Find what protects your base plays and build off of that and build with your personnel. So I think it's really good to hear from someone else who has completely different personnel in a completely different area of the country than I am. So I'm gonna be quiet, Coach, and let you have at it.
All right, I appreciate that, Coach. Let me get in here. Let's move this thing. There we go. All right. Well, I just want to first thank Coach. I reached out to him many years ago now, going on 5. I was applying head coaching vacancy at where I was an assistant at, popped up. And the first book I read of his, if you couldn't tell by the bottom, was I read To Find a Way, what you wish you knew before you became a head coach. It was super helpful in the interview process, and I didn't follow all of it. I'll leave that for another conversation if you want to have it. But a lot of it I took from Coach Simpson, so much that I stole To Find a Way from him. Come to find out, one of our local colleges, they've used it for years too. So going through the recruiting process with our kids. Here's my contact info. I'm on the Facebook group as well. Somebody was asking about heavy package. I'll send anything. Again, everybody's done this, or everybody who's doing it does it a certain way. But we'll share anything. We're going into year 3 of running the gun T. So all my contacts there, cells there, if it's easier for you to text as well. Kind of quick. I really don't like talking about myself, but graduated college, did not play college football at all. If anybody's in their mid to late 30s, teaching jobs in 2008, 2009 were kind of hard. So I jumped on the first one that I could live in my parents' house and still drive. I'm located right where Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware all meet, in a little corner there in West Grove, Pennsylvania, for reference. So I drove about 40 minutes south to Bel Air, coach special teams, secondary coach, running backs coach. Awesome experience for me coming right out of college to be able to do that. We had a young staff. We got better and we had a lot of fun. About 2010, I had an inkling I was going to get married. Fortunate to that, so I was moving a little bit closer to home, and I got hired late. I just did video pre-huddle still, which was fun for me to splice all that up, and then my wife is from right about the Philadelphia airport area. If you ever fly into Philly, we lived right there. We bought our first house there. Spent 6 years at Interboro High School, secondary coach and receivers coach, coached the defense. Learned a lot from a guy who's been there for decades, 300 games, won in his career. It was a great experience for me, again, still as a pretty young coach. And then I would have went to Avon Grove High School. I went to a local Catholic school that my dad went to, but I grew up in the Avon Grove School District where I teach now, where I'm the head coach. Got hired in 2017, again, late. All these things happened late. We had young kids. There was no money. I said, I'll do video for you because I'm going to be up in the middle of the night. The next year, there was some money, so I took the corners job and we moved out here. Actually, was fortunate enough to buy the house I grew up in. I'm a big video guy, again, probably the youngest guy on the staff at the time. I'm still the second youngest as the head coach on my staff now. And then in 2019, I was the co-defensive coordinator, and coached the corners. Job popped open in November of 2019. And I was fortunate enough to get the job. I feel very fortunate about that. There's some good applicants. And from 2020, during the pandemic season, right? So I get the job officially in January, and then boom, pandemic. 2020 and 2021, I had a different offensive coordinator. He ran a lot of the similar stuff that our previous head coach did. And you know, as a head coach, I learned really quickly, and especially with people that are older, you got to, it's your name in the paper. Just reminded that from our coach at Interboro, and I felt we needed a change. I felt we needed a system, and I felt strongly at the time, based on the time we have with our athletes, that offensively we need to be a gap scheme team or a zone team. And I found more Kenny's stuff, and I thought, well, what can our kids absorb? And we went full on gun tee in the fall of 2022, second year last year, and we're going into our third year. So that's enough about me. What I hope you gained from this presentation, I was fortunate enough to get a new quarterback coach this year. He played at Hofstra, the FCS level, and he's done a great job with our quarterback. So our offensive line coach left. Let me admit somebody here. Our offensive line coach left for another school that his son was coaching at, so I couldn't fault him there. And the one thing that I do know that I feel confident about is I understand the blocking system within the gun tee. So I'm going to take over the O-line. I might be the smallest O-line coach in the country at the high school level, but I'm taking it over. It's been a great experience working with those guys. They're going to get some press from me for sure. So who you need and where, if you've been in the system, this might be a little bit of a review, but it's also going to be, as I was making this, like where I messed up too when we were selecting kids at certain spots. So kind of go over what I did and the mistakes I made. One of the things in the supplemental book, or the second book, it is titled Supplemental, is Duo and the gun tee system. We're not going to get into a debate over inside zone and duo. It's duo in there, so it's duo for us, and it's one less word to say. So what are the must-haves? It's new. It's going to be new for us in 2024. And again, I'm spending obviously a lot of my time with the offensive line. So what do I need from them? What do we need from them? They want to run this, and they think it's going to save their legs a bit from pulling, especially the guards are kind of excited about it. But also, how does it help us? And then something new for us, protecting bucks. So obviously there's the RPO game based into that. But we want to make sure they're truly defending 11. And we want to do that this year. We're going to go away in July and get a lot of this on tape. So I can obviously offer that up. Later, we're going to run buck option. We want to look at running buck option and keeping it in the same formations and how we're going to do it and the why behind it. Let's go to the next one. Here we go. All right, so offensive line selection. Again, if you've been doing this for a while, been doing this for a few years, this might be a little bit of a review, but kind of how we've gone through it. We've got my years there with our different athletes that we have. So just starting kind of in reds and going from left to right. Quick tackle, third most important lineman in the system. Have to be effective in quick side run game. So he's got to be able to gap hinge, got to be able to cut, got to be able to dig out that four technique if you're facing a lot of three down linemen. Got somebody else coming in here. I got my thing in the middle. There we go. Key component to the RPO game must be great in space. All right, so in 2022, this player was a junior. He was the best player, the best athlete over 200 pounds in our program. He was going into a 3-year starter. We started him at tackle during the pandemic as a freshman. We had some injuries, and he was the next guy up. In 2022, he's 6'2", 225, an absolute animal of a kid. So much so that if you saw some of Kenny's clips last year, he had a B back that looked like a beast. And I said, that's our guy. And I moved him, put him in number 0, and he had never touched the ball before in his life, but I obviously knew he could block. And we taught him how to run the ball, and he was awesome at B. That is a tough position to find. I won't really go into that too much. But that's a tough position to find. And once you found it, and they graduate, it's kind of worrisome going into the next year. And again, that's where you fit the system to the kids you have. In 2023, we started junior 6'4", 270. Not as athletic as the last kid, but he gets the job done, and he can move really well for a big guy as well. And we're fortunate enough to have him another year to build his confidence. He gained a little bit of weight there. He's the same kid. Quick guard, most important, right? Coach Simpson says in that first book, start here. He's got to be the most athletic offensive lineman in the system. He's pulling on basically every gap scheme play. So in 2022, when we put this in, I said, like, let's find our best kid that wants to move. All right. So this guy's 5'8". He's 100% embellishing, because on a good day, I'm 5'8". There's no way he's 5'8". He's all of 195 pounds of sophomore. First game, did a great job, right? He's pull wrapping often, eyes inside. You see, as the year goes on, his eyes finally get inside every time he's looking outside. He got injured, second to season-ending injury in like week 9, so he was out pretty much all of 2023. This was my mistake. Okay, not that he's 6 foot, 240 pounds. He was a second-year player. He did a great job, but I missed this part, right? If he's the most important, and he's got to be, and you look back and you reflect, quick guard has to be your most important player, has to be one of your best offensive linemen, if not the best. This guy did a great job for us, but he's not that. Fortunate enough to come back, and the senior will be back, 5'8", so he says. Got up to 225. He can move. He's healthy, and he can solve a lot of problems for us on the offensive line. He understands the system, and he pulls better than anybody that we're going to have here for a while, I think. Center, I cap consistent snaps. If for whatever reason you want to adapt some of this to under center, we unfortunately had to do that at the end of last year. Our guy just was not getting it done. We had an injury to our starting center last year, but they have to be smart. They're making our line calls for all our passing. Okay, our strong guard down there. Just for reference, he's making our calls on belly. Okay, thought they'd be a little more creative. All right, on belly we have a simple white and teal call. All right, so white is signifying that we're going to go wide. It's going to hit B, maybe C if they need to, depending on the front. And then tight, they know that we're going to hit that in the A gap. And the B back is going to have to really pull wrap really tight inside, and when it opens up, we reference the Hershey Highway. The running back's following that guard, and when the Hershey Highway is going to split right open. First year we started, we had consistent snaps from a senior, great kid. He's coaching Division III football now as a student assistant. Last year, again, with this injury, first time, this year 17 coaching, this guy got injured in warmups. It was tough. The guy who came in, great kid, but just didn't get it done. We have a senior again. He's coming back, the injured guy's back, and he does a good job for us. Strong guard, second most important, right? Again, if you're new, right? Quick guard, strong guard's the second most important. He's going to pull kick on your buck sweep. And this guy does it. He's mean. If you can find a mean kid to do this, because you might be kicking out some guys that don't want to get kicked out, depending on the front that you get. And then he's got to be able to pull wrap on quick side run game. And again, it's the perfect guy to take on a strong backer. The kid for us has started. The kid for us started as a sophomore again, 5'11", 195, so not a big guy. 2023, I guess he got a little bit bigger, and he throws shot put. He made the state Pennsylvania States in shot put and discus. Super athletic kid, but I need to move him to tackle, and that brings me to 2024. So this guy's a little bit different body type. I think he's embellishing on the 200 pounds, but I do know this: he wrestled heavyweight for us. Right? We had a kid with strong growing wrestling program. We had a kid at 189. That was really good. And this junior came in and he wrestled heavyweight when the other kid probably could have went up, but he's wrestling a little bit more competitively at 189. So they kept him there. So this kid, I watched him pin a dude that barely made weight. So I knew he played a little bit for us last year to fill in. That he's very strong, not big though. Okay, not big in terms of depending on where you are. Very strong, and he's mean. Right, they're going to be moving. They're going to be throwing their bodies at people, but you don't need large guys. You need tough kids that are willing to buy into what this system brings and the why kind of behind it. All right, last one, strong tackle. Physical, less athletic. All right. And he's most likely your biggest guy. He's got to be able to down block, double, and hinge. That first year that we put this in, it was senior captain, definitely our strongest, and fit the second part of that as well. But he understood those three main blocks that he needed to do. Last year, we had an even larger kid. Lacked a little bit more physicality. Probably should have looked at that myself. And then this year we're going to move that strong guard from the previous 2 years out to the tackle. He's put on a lot of good weight, and he can help us there. He's also when you're thinking about it, he's also probably our only guy that's going to have to go both ways. I can't selfishly take him. We try in two platoon here, but again, we're trying to be we're obviously trying to be competitive. But if you can play, that's one of the things as a head coach I believe in. We have the numbers that we have because we put kids on the field that can compete and they have more time with that position group. And that being said, this guy is going to have to play defensive line, and moving him to tackle will save his legs a little bit because we still want to run buck sweep as our base play. But that'll save his legs a bit. So if you're not two platooning, and you got guys going both ways, it's just something for you to think about, especially with your guards. If your guards are going both ways, that's tough. Depending on where you are, we're 6A school. We play other schools that two platoon. So I'm cognizant of that as the head coach, but knowing that we have to have results on Friday night. I'll just pause real quick if anybody's got any questions. I'm sorry, this might be a little bit of a review for some of you. Just check the chat if we got anything. All right. Moving on. So the O-line, they wanted to try and a non-gap sort of thing, basically not pulling. So Coach Simpson has duo in that second book But for me, as the head coach and the offensive line coach, we have to have these things. Have to have great communication with the doubler. So every pre-practice, we're working me, you, off of who's coming off the double team, have to have their outside arm free. And the biggest difference between this concept and basically everything else in the gun tee is you need a vertical push. So I challenge them, the defensive line into the linebacker's toes. Okay. So if we're not getting that, then this play is not going, this concept's not going to go in. So far in the spring, when we've gone as best on best as we could, we were moving the D line. Okay. Some of the things we work on, I just not going to lie, saw on Twitter. We obviously want them to get hip to hip, keep those outside arms free. And what we'll do is we'll have obviously defender will work in the gap between the two doublers, work head up on both of them. All right. And their goal, we have a shield drill. There'll be a fourth guy in the group, in groups of four. He's right behind them. I say running because we move those guys up because they're all linemen. And he's trying to get a shield, a regular blocking shield. He's going to stuff it right in between their two hips, and they're driving the D lineman back with that shield connected between the two of them. All right, until the whistle blows, and the goal is to not have that shield move with their outside arms free. All right, that's where we start each day, and then we'll go to that concept with a linebacker, and we're just giving the linebacker directions. This is nothing new to anybody. And then they're communicating that me, you, who's coming off. All right. Indie work, right? So we're trying to, you'll see how it's drawn up if you don't have the second book, or, I think Kenny said they haven't ran a lot of this since he came back from Searcy, because that's where they had run it in the past. Well, we're in our groups, we're doubling, trying to get all our quick guards and centers together as much as possible, because they're a double team, and our strong guard and our strong tackle. We want them to work together as much as possible. Excuse me, because that's who they're going to be working with. All right, so the why, right? It's an additional answer to teams who are reading your guards. So you can RPO. Obviously, we still want to do that. We've been very successful with peak, just with that backside backer going. But kids want a challenge, they can do it. I'm for it. So the base drawing out of here on the left is how the system has it in that supplemental book. We're going to read this backside end. All right. If we get a lot of 3 down with a walk up to our tight end, and we call him an R, it's Kenny's B. Sometimes I've been using chalk. It's been a great investment for me. It's easy to draw on. No plug there. I don't get any money from Coach Casey, but it's easy to draw on. But sometimes the one glitch is it goes back to the generic labeling. So this is base red. Quarterback's going to read the man head up to outside if you got a 4 down of the quick tackle. All right, and we're getting a double again with a quick guard in the nose. They're communicating who's coming off. All right, with the me, you call. We're getting our second double over here with our strong guard and our strong tackle. The H is really an influence block. He's sprinting across. We've had these guys. We got to make sure if you're new to this, like, get that H like only an R, or excuse me, that B back only an arm's length away from that Y. All right. And you can adjust after that. But to get across, you need a guy that's flying across. He's going to pick up or influence this backer. And we have just bubble as a base off of it. Depending on the corner, we'll run our we just call it rocket. All right. And he'll go out and block. And then this guy's just getting vertical like anything else. But the doubles here and the doubles here are how we want to block it. And we're going to read the E or the end here. Quick tackle is going to release. One thing that we did struggle with last year, that's why I put lock on here. Again, it's in the supplemental book. That's just going to tell the quick tackle to he's going to gap hinge on the guy head up to outside of him. We're not going to read him. Quarterback will read out to here, but we're going to get this guy blocked. Okay. When this guard steps down, if this guy's any good and he knows we're pulling, he's going to step down and follow him. So we call a lock. We want to get him blocked. I don't want to hear anything about how we're not blocking the first level defender, and that guy's making a play. So for us, lock is probably going to be how we're going to base, just for my own mind. Everything else will stay the same. You could insert the R, you can motion them around, you could do whatever you want within the system. But those are the two ways that we think Duo can help us this year, because they do. They'll read the guards. Something will happen with peak. So you need some sort of answer, and the kids love a challenge. So the Duo is going to go in for us. It's been in for us, and we're going to keep repping it for certain teams. And if we're good at it, it might be our play. All right. The front five that we have, we're fortunate to have, and if they can do it, we're gonna roll with it. Does anybody have any questions before I go into kind of my last piece here? Okay. All right, and then our last kind of new concept, and another way to protect buck is buck option. And RY, right? RY is something I have to remind myself is players over concepts. We have a very athletic QB. He's going to be a 3-year starter. That's not what we anticipated happening, but it is, and he's very good. He's developed very well, and this will be year 3 in the system. And make them defend 11. Based on who that second guy is for you, in my mind, it's tough to want to run him because you're always thinking, well, what if? And then the more and more I've looked back on the past 2 years, any injuries that our QB has had have not been from me choosing to run him. It's him scrambling around and making plays, and that's where it's been. So when we run him, he's more protected and he's comfortable doing that. And we have 11. We're fortunate enough. We have an athletic sophomore at a skill position. I don't want to burden him with too much. It's one thing. How much can you teach and how much can your kids absorb? But it would be neglectful. And I just had this conversation with his parents and my staff. It would be neglectful to not put he is the fastest kid in our school. All right. Based on his track performance, and he is fast on the football field too. He's a smaller stature young man, but he is dangerous in open speed. And another person during the pandemic, not a plug, I talked to Kenny a lot, and then I got deep into feeding the cats with Tony Holler. And if you haven't explored that, and you're looking for an advantage in terms of keeping your kids fresh and healthy and having fast kids, I'd suggest doing some research on what Coach Holler's done in relation to football. So we're going to try and get this guy the ball in space at times because it protects Buck. We have a new running back, but he's a good running back. And they're going to key the guards. Right? Year 3, they know when we're pulling, that's who those linebackers are keying. It also gives us an additional perimeter concept to the quick side. So we run a little bit of jet. It would be boat jet in the system, where we do the push pass out. That's been successful, but this gives us another option. And I don't think it's expensive. We were repping it last night. You can do it during your buck pod. All right. So anytime that you're running buck, you can pair it with peak. There's a lot of people involved in the play that you can still work the base system skills um, without it being super expensive. Okay. Obviously, pitching the ball is going to be something that's different. I won't lie to you. We're probably going to just do this to the right to get it down. We have a right handed quarterback. The previous school I was at, when we ran option, it was just to the right. Um, Not saying you can't do it both to the left and right, but we're going to stick to pitching with our quarterback's right hand till we kind of get it down. And if we need to, we'll go left. But I don't anticipate wanting to do that in year one. All right, so I just drew it up a couple ways. You can really do it with anybody. Again, the R in these drawings is Coach Simpson's B. If you're sticking completely to all of his labeling, so I apologize for that, but it was for our kids too. What you need, again, this is out of 3 down. We're gonna read the guy outside of the quick tackle, the first defender outside of the quick tackle. So if you get 4 down, um, if you get 4 down over, please run buck sweep till they stop it, because if I get an over front, the angles are just too good. We don't get that often. We get a 3 down and a walk up linebacker. Um, it gets other athletes the ball in space. So how can you get the ball to other people um, that are not your running back, and how can you get the ball kind of on the perimeter? And then again, it's going to make them defend 11. So left is just kind of is out of red flop. Okay. Or we're pulling buck sweep. We're calling red flop buck option. Okay. And the motion for us is zoo. Okay. I apologize. I don't know what Kenny's slot motion around is. So this would be red flop, zoo, buck option. We're running buck, but for our quarterback, it's not triple. If this calls on, we're proximity faking buck. It's for him and the motion man to run option. We're not gonna have him do triple this year when we run it. Okay, I want to get the ball on the perimeter to the quick side and let our quarterback have the option to run the football. So we'll zoom motion, depending on who that kid is. It's just timing. We last night when we were repping it, we snapped it again right in between the strong guard and strong tackle. We get a good fake and we're attacking the line of scrimmage. And the first guy outside of the quick tackle is who we're going to be reading. So we need a reach block. Not my best drawing here. We need a reach block from the quick tackle. And again, if you're getting buck and you have a good defensive, like he's squeezing here. Okay, these guys are, for us, they're running to stop it. They're coming, and we'll run option out to the quick side. Okay. I was talking to Coach Simpson before we got on here live, and I was blessed to have a really good wing back last year, a big physical kid that could block, could run, and he could catch the ball in space as well, and nobody wanted to tackle him. We're still searching for that kid this year. There's plenty of people that want to do it, but we do have a good receiving core. So I was saying we might base out of trips, blue roar and red lion. It might be what we do, and these are 3 receivers out here. So this is blue roar, and for us, this is our R. We're calling this ripper. Again, we any letter that we have, we start the motion with that letter. So rip for us is across, rope is behind, ripper is return. So we're just running our buck here. And if they give us this look, we're going to block this guy, and we're going to get this guy in space. We're going to attack him and make the pitch off of him. So this is blue roar, ripper, buck option. You can, right? Don't have to change anything. Just have to make sure the kids are repping it in pod work and in Indy. You can do it blue roar, zipper, buck option. Like, who do you want to get the ball to? And you can decide. right. So that's what we're going to focus on, at least run game wise, in 2024. Hit something more on the perimeter, and then uh, give people other looks when they can stop Buck, and that's our goal. Um, so that's all I really had, and that might have been a little bit short of what Coach was looking for. But I can take any questions. I have some film if anybody's interested in talking about that or any particular concept that you kind of want to see. I have it from 22, 23, and we did. I went back in the archives. We ran Buck, and in 2020 and 2021, it was something else that I learned from coaches. Like, it don't number anything anymore. Like, we had 48, 49 Buck, and you can see when those guards pull, they don't know, right? We're gap down backer, and where the natural gap hits, they see it a lot better. So if you take anything else, like, don't number anything. They'll come off looking confused.
Coach, I thought that was great stuff. The guys that are on here, feel free to unmute. I took some notes. I like the option stuff for sure. You know, if I had the line, we run duo, and if I have the line ever again, we'll run it again. We
Mm-hmm.
just don't have it. So those of you who have linemen that are like coach's size, I would think that's probably a really good compliment. But I took really good notes on the Buck option because I think I really like the influence away from Buck. That's something I think our quarterback is really good at RPO. So option ought to be easy. Um, if you don't mind, what we'll do is we'll turn the recording off here, and then guys can jump on and ask whatever questions they've got. I think you're the host, coach, so you'll probably have to do the
Okay.
work for me.
I have to stop the recording.
Yep.
Pause, stop. Okay. Okay. Stop recording.